All right, welcome to This is Jax. I'm here with Aaron Robles, and we're going to dive into it. He's a physical therapist here, as well as a bunch of other things. We're going to hear his story about how he ended up in Jacksonville, raising his family here, why it's the right place for him, why he's excited about the business community in Jacksonville. Welcome to This is Jax, a hyper-local podcast. We're going to do our best. We're going to bring on successful business owners, the people who drive the cities, share a lot about what makes our city so great. So you can be confident and comfortable. This is a city that you want to call home. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. It's so fun to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. We got to know each other through the Jax Chamber.
Yeah.
And had a couple of different conversations, and I'm really excited that you're finally in here. I know it took us a while.
It did.
I feel like when did we probably meet? This spring, I think. Maybe summer?
Yeah. Started there.
Probably. So those events have been good. I enjoy those events. Small Business Leader of the Year.
Business leader.
Right? You're about to hand that off.
Handing it off now.
How was that experience?
Oh, you know what? It was much more than I thought it was going to be, because it's kind of a whirlwind, actually, because I really didn't know much about the chamber in the first place.
Okay.
So when we jumped into it, I mean, I've always heard about it in business, but when you're in the weeds and working really hard, it's like, I don't have time for that kind of thing.
Right.
And then when I jumped on board this year ago,
okay.
2 years ago, I guess now.
So you joined the chamber 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago, jumped in, and I was like, wow, this is great. Just like we were talking about, being like extroverted, being around a lot of people, enjoying people.
Right.
That's the kind of job I'm into. Like if Enneagram 7, that you feel like to be around a lot of people and get energized from that. And so it was like chamber was like, I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
A bunch of people. And then, so I was just taking full advantage of it, because I love this community in Jacksonville, and it was it really introduced me to another aspect of, the community that I really was, on the outskirts of. Now I get really to talk to, all these business owners and people in business, and just, have that like-mindedness,
Yeah, it's good. As someone who kind of runs a business, the community with other business owners is important. And sometimes you just obviously it's very taxing.
Yes.
You've got to give to your clients, to your your database, whoever you're taking care of, depending on what business you're in. For you, it's physical therapy. So obviously you've got clients and stuff coming in, and, but you can kind of get lost in that world, and then you can kind of feel isolated because, your friends or your family, they're not really doing that same type of thing. So joining the chamber gives you relationships. You get to talk about, kind of that world, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you expand on that a little bit? Have you noticed a difference joining the chamber? What was it like? Were you kind of like, wow, I unlocked this whole world of relationship, or did it just kind of?
Well, it was what's fun, and that's why I got into the business I got into, because I wanted to get more personal. Just wanted to like sell things and give things. Okay. I wanted to get, because we really do get involved in their life, because, what we help in our services really impact their lives, not just their lives, but lives of their families as well. So, that interpersonal relationship is what I really liked. And then getting into the chamber, I got to see and got to know the people behind the sign on the door now.
Yeah.
So instead of just a business that we're going into, and see that part, we get to see and hear their stories, how they started. Because what I really enjoyed about Jacksonville, especially the beaches where I started, was just that community. And that's why we moved here from Atlanta in the first place.
Okay.
And it's that community. And the chamber even brought it even closer. So you get to meet the people and, know the stories of how they started, what struggles they had the successes they are now, and how they're growing, their plans are, so it's just like, just another, like you said, it's another area of life that, you have a commonality to, that you could just relate to, and you get encouraged to. And that's what I encourage others to be, other business people. Because, you'll talk to people, like even my own patients, when I'm telling them I'm going to do this, do that, they're like, because they don't fully understand that. They see it their point of view, and they're like, well, you got to be careful. I wouldn't do that. Just all these opinions of things, and they don't understand. But, you talk to other business owners who've done it. They're like, oh yeah, you know what? I did that. That's really scary. You know what? But I encourage you to do it, jump on board,
Yeah.
because it gives you that extra confidence. Because you talk to people that don't know, they're always going to give you the, the downside of everything. Well, be careful, worry about this, worry about that. And then you have somebody who says, when you're, especially your business owner and your CEO, you have to be the visionary. You have to see that. And it's not like my wife is the CFO. She's the CPA. She's like, well, what's that going to cost? And we can't do that right now. It's like, but in order to get going and go for like the limits that you want to achieve, you have to overcome those self-limiting, beliefs that you get. Like, I don't know if I'm smart enough. I don't know if I could do that. Like we don't have the money for it. Is it going to be successful? And then you talk to other people who don't know anything about it. They'll feed into that. But you talk to people, it's like, oh no, you know what? Look, I didn't even have half what you had, and look what I got now. He's like, oh really? That's great. Really encourages you.
Yeah. So just being surrounded by people who are on either a similar path or they're a step ahead of you, maybe, right? And so you're getting hero stories. I can relate to that too. In my industry, we joke a lot about, obviously we're in real estate, and we joke a lot about, we encourage people to buy homes. And part of the reason is growing even your net worth. And I know there's a bunch of different things like, hey, your home's not an investment because you live there or whatever. But to me, I really view it as like a savings account, like a high yield savings account versus renting. And there's tons of data out there that shows the net worth of a homeowner versus renter is much more, right? Yeah. And that's just raw data. But there's always somebody who doesn't own a home telling the person who's thinking about buying, like, oh, it's too risky, don't do it. Exactly. You touched on the same thing. It's interesting that it comes in different forms, which also compounds on what you just said. Everybody's kind of experiencing the same thing and able to share those, like, hey, I've heard the same thing for people. Don't worry. And once we stepped in there, so let's back up a little bit. You talked about your move to Jacksonville. So you have a master. You received a master of physical therapy from the University of Delaware.
Yes, fighting blue hens.
Okay, all right. and then you were in Atlanta. So how did that develop? How'd you go from getting your master's degree to Atlanta, and then what did you experience there? What was that? What phase of your journey was that?
Oh, so I actually graduated in Delaware twice.
Okay.
I did so much the first time, my undergrad. And I moved to Atlanta because my best friend moved to Atlanta for a job. So I went to visit him for a week, if you get like this story. Okay. So I went to visit him for vacation. He's like, hey, I graduated. Just go down and see him. And then he called people. Like I graduated in exercise physiology. I was very seat of the pants back then. How I'm a business owner and very detailed now, it's really crazy to see that looking back.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. I want to hear it. That's what we're here for.
So I was very seat of the pants, whatever. Like, okay. I'm graduating college. Do you have a job? No, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out, whatever the plans are. Right now, I'm just going on vacation, going to Atlanta to see my friend. So he called people up. The athletic clubs in Atlanta saying he was me. Hey, I'm Aaron Robles. I just graduated. I'd like to set up an interview. So I walk in the door and said, hey, give him a hug, reconnect. And by the way, I got 3 interviews for you while you're here. I'm like, I'm on vacation. I got shorts and a t-shirt. What am I going to do?
Put a suit on.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's I said, all right, well, you know what? I'm here for a week. I get a job. I had no other plans. If I get a job, I'll stay. If not, I'll just head back to Delaware. Well, I stayed, found a job, got working. Then I met my wife. She was born and raised in Atlanta. Okay. So I knew this was where I wanted to be. I mean, I had no clue. Nothing was pre-planned. And it's like, hey, I want to move south. I want to get out of the cold. None of that stuff.
Where were you from originally?
So originally grew up, I was born in the Philippines.
Okay.
Moved to Bronx, New York when I was 2 years old. Okay. So it was New York City, Bronx, Queens, Jersey City till my elementary years. Okay. Moved to Delaware, basically, and moved around a little bit, but moved to Delaware from my high school years and college years. Okay. So that's where I was.
Your parents moved there?
Yeah, my parents moved there for work. Okay. My mom's job moved us around a lot. Okay. So we got a job there, and then that's where I just started to stay there. My parents actually got a job back in New Jersey, North Jersey. So... But I said, I'm staying here. This is my roots. I'll stay there through.
And by that time, you were what? Late teens, early 20s?
Yep. Okay. Went through. And then again, when I graduated college, I said, try something new, something there. Okay. Moved to Atlanta. And I loved Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah. So back to Atlanta. So you finish out that time period in Delaware. So your family had already moved back up north.
Yeah, they moved back up.
So then you were kind of free to just kind of make your own path.
Yeah. So it was like where I was in Atlanta, I didn't miss Delaware. When I went back to Delaware for visit for friends and family, holidays, I didn't miss Atlanta because I could have did either or. But the more I kind of been down south, more I go back north. This is more my thing.
Well, you've been here a while.
That's right.
So you're in Atlanta. So now you're working for other people at first, obviously.
Yeah. So I started working in the clinic. So this is how interesting you look back and see how your events and things that changed you and really, grew you and formed you and shaped, the way you are now. My 5-year goal going out of PT school was to be a director, run my own clinic kind of thing. Not own it. I never do that. Just run it. Well, within the first year, I'm like, here we want to eventually run this clinic. I was like, what? I have no idea. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to manage people. I didn't really know how to treat people at the time, So I looked around. I was a new grad and looked around these people laying on the tables, and they're like, and it hit me. It's like, these people think I could help them. I have no idea what I'm doing, kind of thing. So looking back at it, here, my 5-year goal was within the first year. So I had to learn on the job, training. Again, it's like, and now all of a sudden I'm a manager of people, having their supervisor, had to lead them, get them going. I was in charge of a clinic to making sure it was successful, busy, and to do marketing, whatever that meant, kind of things. So this is all like, and nobody's telling me how to do
What time frame is this?
So this is mid-90s.
Okay. So there's no YouTube or anything.
There's no nothing.
It's only like if you need something, it's books and formal education.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly right. Not a lot of self-help stuff.
So how were you learning how to manage people during this time?
So this is where, again, I was, just right now it's trial and error because I was so busy treating patients because I didn't have, I was 100% patient care. Then I had administrative to do on top of that. So I just had to, work it as I had.
Just had to do it.
Just had to do it. Just go what it meant.
By the seat of your pants, like you said,
exactly.
Right?
The good news, I had some good employees that would set me aside and say, Aaron, I didn't like the way you did this or, that kind of things. Could you do this a different way? I'm like, I didn't realize that was a good or bad thing at the time, I had patients the same way. They set me aside and said, hey, can I talk to you? When you talk about this and this is how I feel. I'm like, really? I didn't even know where I was doing that, kind of thing. So
how did you take, so would you call that like constructive criticism? Or was it positive stuff too? Like, hey, great.
Oh,
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So, it's just great.
How did you take that? I mean, how old were you at the time? How did you take that?
Well, the good news is, so now I'm probably, I started later. So now I'm like in my late 20s kind of thing. So I'm a little bit more mature, so I could take this a little bit. And at first, you hear something like that, you're always taken aback. You're like, okay. But the good news is none of it was...
Read the name tag. You're in my world now. Okay, yeah.
But none of it was intentional, right? I didn't even realize. Like I said, I was like, oh, really? Gosh. I didn't mean that. But it was like, I was starting to, and I look back again, I was starting to get from the seat of pants to be more intentional about things. And I was like, okay, so now, and I noticed that the way I talk to patients. And the patient one time told me, he's like, Aaron, I was so sore after last time, but you told me it was going to be sore, so I was okay with it. And I was like, I don't remember saying that. It was just part of my spiel, but I made it intentional. Yeah. So that's how I kind of took everything that, cool. How do I get better?
That's good. That's really good. And then during this time, you met your wife too. Yeah. How did you guys meet?
So we met through church, actually. Oh. We had cool. We were going to First Baptist Atlanta, big singles group, kind of so friends of friends, and that's how we kind of met.
Sure. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then, now how much longer after you guys got married before you came to Jacksonville?
So,
what brought you to Jacksonville? Because it sounds like you were just like,
oh yeah, we were rocking. I thought this was going to be now my home forever. Okay. My wife's born and raised there.
Her family
there? Had family there. Okay. But soon then we had 4 kids.
Wow.
And they were all young. My youngest was 1. But at the time then her parents moved down to South Georgia to be with the grandparents because as they were aging, to help them, they're living on farms here. Her sister, who's also in town, they moved with her husband's family up to Kentucky. So now we're familyless. So all we have is like friends. And then one of the things that really, kind of jumpstart. Now, step back a little bit. I like change where my wife doesn't. So it's like, I'm always looking and see what else can I do, kind of things. My wife's like, we're fine right now. Let's keep it this way. But once they moved away, we had an incident where my wife got sick. She, when you have small kids, when they get it, mom gets it. And
everybody's sick. And it's like a cycle. So like normally it's like someone's sick for like 3 or 4 days, but in these big houses, like I have 4 kids too. And so what happens is one kid gets sick and you're like, oh, great. And then it like that kid's healing up and then it starts then you're getting it at the end. Exactly. And you can't just rest because you have to take care of the kids, right? Exactly. All right. So your wife got sick.
So she got sick and now like it's in the middle of the night. I got to take her to ER. And I got 4 young kids. How do I wake them up and bring them? And so I'm calling neighbors, calling friends, with 4 kids, like, well, I'll take one. Well, that doesn't help in the middle of the night to have taken my wife. So we really needed somebody who could really jump on board. And family does that. Right. So if we were going to move, every vacation we always had from Atlanta, we'd come down to the beach. Okay. We're always on the beach.
Here in Jacksonville? Or just somewhere in Florida?
Here in Jacksonville because she had cousins here. Okay. And they always go down to Crescent Beach for family vacations. So we always, St. Augustine's, Crescent Beach was always the big thing there. We'd all go to Destin. We'd head down from Atlanta. We go, the Panhandle beaches, or we go down to, Hilton Head, and that way too. And so we always hit those beaches. And so the criteria was if we were going to move, we had to have family. Obviously, that's why we're moving. Has to be near a beach. We had to have a church that the church life was important to us to have a church we could be involved with. And then had to find a job. That was the last thing. It's like, I can find that. It'll be fine kind of thing. So again, what developed this too is in my job, again, not intentional. Because I was very kind of forward thinking and knew how to really pull things together. And how I realized, working in clinics that I had to run, had to have systems in place in order to run efficiently and effectively, so that way, because we're seeing a lot of patients and how can I do this efficiently? So I knew this had to be this way, so that way, because I was in 100% patient care and also administrative above it. So how to do that, that way. So I soon was hired away from other places to start PT clinics for them. Say, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? And I did it. And I loved that challenge. I didn't know I liked that challenge until once it was done and going, I got another offer. I'm like, why would I do that? They set this up for me to be here forever. They want me here. But then I was gone. So I had that kind of itch to say, okay, what's next? Kind of thing once I did it. And then but starting your own business was very scary because you have 4 small kids, right? Without that constant paycheck coming in, you don't want to.
There's 2 sides to that. So one side is like the pressure to like provide for your family. You're waking because on one hand, it's like you have no boss, you have no clients, you have no nothing, and so it's almost like you could, we'll start tomorrow or once I get the systems perfect or whatever. But then on the other hand, all the pressure you have, you're like, I have to do it today. Right, that like starting ugly pressure, right? Is there. So, so explain this a little bit. So I want to go a little bit deeper. So you went from running a facility to you were getting paid to start facilities. Right. So would you say that you're essentially learning how to start a business?
Right. Exactly.
So you're getting
really shaping me there. Yeah.
Okay. So you're like getting paid to learn how to start a business. And at some point you're thinking maybe I should start my own business.
Right. And that's why I kept doing it over and over again. And my last job before I moved here, if I was going to stay at a job forever, they made it like I could do it. Everything was just perfect. Yeah. But then after it was running and, being successful, I was like, I hit an end where what else do I need to do? I wanted something else there. So then I didn't know the entrepreneurial spirit that was in me was trying to get out kind of thing. So here had opportunity to move to Jacksonville where I could be a partner without any money, just with my sweat equity, which is great kind of thing.
It's the best way to do it.
That's the best way to do it. And obviously, I jumped at the chance because he was here. Again, my my in-laws were close by in South Georgia.
Okay.
Her cousins and aunts and uncles were all here in like Orange Park area, so really close. So we had that family connection.
Checked all the boxes.
Yeah, it really did. So we thought that was perfect.
Why? I guess, family in your church and the beach and all that stuff. I mean, it really makes sense. And that is kind of what I love to highlight about Jacksonville, the community itself, the location itself. It's nice and cool today. We were joking before, unfortunately, Jaguars taking another big loss. We're feeling the pain this year for sure in that. And then I wake up and there's ice on my windshield. I grew up in South Florida, like Tampa Bay, where it's a little bit warmer. So up here, even though we get all the Florida, I say you get either the tax benefits, the geopolitical, the community, but the weather is a little cooler here. Yeah, so you still get a break from the heat. Still hot in the summer. It's a really great spot. So you put on here, you have 3 offices now?
Yeah, we grew up to 3 offices here.
You started with the one?
Started one. So the job that I had actually fell through.
Okay.
That was, anyway, for many reasons. So it was never going to come to fruition, which I found out. So now I'm like, why did I move my family here? Now I'm stuck, and of course, trying to figure it out. What the good news is, that's what we liked about Jacksonville. It was like, it was much smaller community. That's what we liked about Atlanta, was soon gone because it grew so big, so fast. It wasn't really a good community for us to raise our kids, we felt, where that's what we found here in Jacksonville. And that's what helped us, So now I'm trying to figure out, how do I just start my own business now? And I have no idea what that means. I had no idea what that means. And again, with the community, I found a PT that she had started several clinics at a time and then sold it to a big corporation. So she had the time, experience, and the willingness to, take me under her wing and just said, okay, this is what you need. You need to start with a business plan. I said, what's that?
That's definitely a reoccurring theme that we hear here is the support from others.
Oh, yeah.
That you get here. And whether that's as a business owner, getting other business owners who support you or leadership. It sounds mentorship, kind of like what sounds like maybe you're getting into. Do you think you've been in Atlanta, you grew up, I know you were younger, but you were in New York, then Delaware, and now here. Out of those cities, do you think that's something that's kind of unique to Jacksonville?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, I couldn't even imagine how to connect with anybody in Atlanta right now, even being there and knowing it.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah. And just what that's what the chamber does, even more so, it digs even further. Now I'm here, I want to encourage other people because I feel like you get in a group where, it's like, because I talked to a couple of people out of chambers, like, I'm thinking of starting my own. I said, yeah, do it. This is where you go through. It's like, wow, really? Yeah. It's like, but what about? Yeah, I get it. But this is where, you got to look about where you want to be. Tell me what your ultimate goal is. For me, it wasn't to make a lot of money. Now with my 4 kids, I wanted to have the time to say, you know what? I'm taking off in the morning. I'll be here later because I'm going to go to Donuts with Dad with one of my kids. I wanted that time, to do that. And I wanted freedom to do that. And where doing this for other people, they're like, heck no, you got to make us money. You're costing us money to do this. Yeah. So this is really what driven me there as well.
Yeah. I don't know if that's something that's also unique to the city. Because you do see, so in my world, like in real estate, I follow a lot of trends that come out of New York or California or even like Ontario, places like that. And I can be kind of cutting edge here in Jacksonville, but also sometimes I see those guys like, they're up at 4:00, going to the gym, having this, and it's crazy. And I'm like, I don't feel like that pace is necessary here to have a successful life and to have family. And then even like my kid's school, she goes to a pretty nice private school. But I told my wife, I'm like, man, there's events at the school every week almost, right. Which to me, I'm like, I do have to work sometimes. Maybe we could split these. But I like to go to them, whether they're like launching rockets that they built as like a thing, they invite the parents in. And there's always a ton of parents there. And there's a lot of business owners and community leaders at the school. So it always impresses me to see that, because you realize a lot of people are on that pace here in Jacksonville, where it's not just like work yourself to death, don't spend time with your family, but the thing is, hey, we're working so that we can spend time with our family, kind of a more.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. And that's where it allowed me that freedom. Well, so again, it helped me again working at the beaches, because that community, what I really like about Jacksonville alone is a community, but then you have all these sub-communities that you got even deeper, right? And dig down deep as well as you
expand
want
on that a little bit. Talk about that.
So being at the beach, I for the year that I did work here, I got a lot of connections where when I wasn't working there anymore, patients were calling me. It's like, hey, we're following you. We're going with you, kind of things. And again, through that connections, I got to, that PT to help me start a business. And the good news about a really close community like that, especially with the beaches where they want to, help support, and patron other, businesses to help out. They really do that local first, right? And good news travels fast. So because of the impact that, I was able to do on patients, because I have patients, I just had a patient appreciation party, for our patients. And one of our patients was one of the first ones 18, 19 years ago, so he's still coming. So this is how the community is. They just keep, because they tell people.
Tell me about that. How did you, tell me about the party, the event.
So we had one last year. We just wanted to, because people kept asking me questions to talk about the 3 clinics again. So I keep interrupting.
That's okay.
Through. So I started in, that's what we're
here for. We just go whichever way it takes us.
It's kind of all over, but it's all intertwined. Right?
Yeah.
So being at the beach, I wanted to start my own clinic. So she was ready to go. Unfortunately, at that time, so this is about, when was that, 18 years ago? All the insurance plans were like, no. So Blue Cross Blue Shield was the biggest one. They're like, nope, don't even apply, because we're not even going to look at your application. And it's like, so much for Robles physical therapy. So now what? Now what I want to do, kind of things. And again, through our family who met somebody, and that's how my first clinic was John Getz Physical Therapy. I was able to franchise through him, get on his insurance plans, even though it's my clinic, I started it. He was more on the west side, so my territory was the east side. So I wanted to be there. Started the Phillips Highway, and now I'm at the beach.
Okay.
So because I wanted to move back to the beach.
Yeah.
And it really thrived. I mean, because of the word of mouth, and it just kept going on. It was just wonderful. So I wanted to just thank everyone because of what we're doing. And it ended up being, everybody's like, wanted to thank us for us. Like, we really, and I've actually got a really nice email. Thank you for one of the patients that said, really loved the night of patient appreciation, but we really should be appreciating you because you have impacted me. I've been seeing you for over 10 years, and this is how you've helped me. And then that's like I said, especially with why I got into this field. It's not just helping somebody with an injury. We're impacting their lives, especially, as with a family, your issues could be affecting your spouse as well, a happy life and a happy wife kind of thing. Same thing with injuries, because it's so impactful. And that's how we really emphasize our business, to make sure that we want people for a lifetime, because they're here to enjoy. They moved here to Jacksonville to enjoy the salt life, to be the outdoors. I want to go to the beach. I want to go fish. I want to be able to hike. I want to walk. I want to run. I want to just bike, and all the outdoors opportunities we have here.
Let's get into that a little bit more. We've talked a lot about the store, about Jacksonville and the location and stuff. Yeah. So, specifically, your physical therapy is thought from you're looking for life clients, right, looking for preventative health, similar to how somebody goes to the gym to lift weights or runs consistently. And we discussed this before, the difference in just care, like, I was in a car accident or I had a fall and I came in and I did my 10 reps and then I never come again. But you're looking for something different.
Right. So
can you expand on that a little bit?
So I'll give an example. When I first started in PT school, I had a professor. She was well above everyone else in the ACL rehab years. This is how long it's been. Back in my day, when you had an ACL rehab, ACL surgery, they casted you for 3 months because it takes 3 months for that ACL to incorporate into your body.
Okay.
Can you imagine that? The casting you for 3 months. So my professor's like, heck no, you could actually exercise that safely and not have all those, ramifications of being immobilized for 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
So get athletes back on the field so much faster. So all the Philadelphia teams, all the pro sports teams sent all their ACLs and knee injuries to us. Here I am as a student. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is what I aspire to. I'm going to have a business where I can, get athletes back on the field. Back then, it wasn't a very good lasting business model because once an athlete's back on the field, which was great, they were very, appreciative if I could get them back faster than most other people, but they don't come back.
Yeah.
They're playing unless they can't play again. But now it's going to evolve because especially with the students, when they have, because they don't pay for it, their parents pay for it. So now the parents are really involved into, because I had this high school football player that came, he was injured, couldn't play anymore. And then after he got him playing, and she said, isn't it a good idea that he keep coming so he could keep playing and playing at this peak performance? I said, that's exactly right. And that's where kind of people have now evolved. Like you said, rehab now, it stemmed from an injury, but they realize the benefits because we really get to the root of the problem and we really want them to understand how this is affecting their function so they could keep functioning well. And so sometimes because of what the body has, you have to have surgeries that your body doesn't work fully, and you need that constant work, just like a maintenance on a car.
Yeah.
You want to keep it running well. It's how much you want to put into it. It's how much you get out of it. So
I feel like there's been a revolution in the last couple of years on the way. At least I know in like the millennial generation, even like Gen X generation is very interested in health, and it's in line now. Like they all just kind of used to be like, to be separate. I think nobody thought about food. Then there was like, well, the doctor said, so you just did it and stuff. And I think in recent years, and we can talk about it as little or as much as we want. I don't really care on here, but as the light's been shown on the way big pharmaceutical works and how the insurance world works and how, they make money if you're sick or you're, whatever all those theories are. But we see it. And now I know at least the circle I run with, which is a pretty large circle and has a very diverse group of people from both church, people I was in the Navy with, now people in the chamber and business. I feel like everybody's almost getting on board with this. Like, hey, actually like food is medicine, like exercise is medicine, physical therapy. These are what we need more than just injections or pills or not, like you said, a cast not moving. The answer is movement. I know for my back, like I flew in helicopters for 10 years. I had five knee dislocations. And a lot of the advice that I got from doctors was like, don't ever run again. Maybe use an elliptical. It's too dangerous. And I took that advice. And then I was hurting all the time. And honestly, for like 2 years, I didn't even run. This is recently. Then my buddy goes, hey, you want to go on the Gate River run? It's like 9-mile race, right? 9.3 miles. And I was like, when is it? He's like, it's in 3 weeks. And I was like, sure. So I sign up and I train literally for 3 weeks. I was like, well, I'll just run a mile today, 2 miles in 2 days. I'll run 4 miles and I did that. And then I ran that race. I got a good time too. But I'll tell you what, once I started running again, it was like the pain started going away. It's crazy how it's the answer, right? But we've kind of been told the opposite. So do you see, and I say all that to see, is that just me seeing that, or you're in this field, are the clients who are coming to you, are you seeing this revolution on a whole in Jacksonville, locally, or even nationally? Do you see data that supports that?
Well, now, the advantage of here at the beaches, we are more holistic in terms of not just medicine that to get you better. Because actually, we just had a master class with Dr. Balestescu, and he just wrote a book about, bursting your bubble, talking about how not only food's good for you, but the wrong foods are bad for you. A lot of our issues now are actually detrimental, and we're finding that even more and more so. So, now we're trying to, research what is good food. What does that mean? And how it does help us, and it's fuel, it's fuel for the soul. I actually, I just turned 60.
No, see, now I would guess like, I saw the age of your kids, so I knew you were older than me, but I mean, for no way.
Yeah.
I mean, see, you look great.
Well, thank you very much. It's like, it's Asian blood. It's Florida weather.
There you go. It's all those things. The sunlight, right? Exactly. The salt water. Now we're talking. Wait, I keep getting into health on this show.
I know.
It's crazy.
It's very well.
And it makes and it goes back to this whole idea that like Jacksonville's very welcoming to these discussions and these thoughts. And it's a big city, but everybody keeps saying it's this big little town. Right. That's how they describe it. And what comes with that is our thoughts on food and stuff. So it's really amazing. Shauna and me, we just literally got a cow.
Oh, really?
Butchered. So we got it straight from the farm, went over to Lake Butler. And I mean, that's what's great. An hour and 15-minute drive to get a whole cow from the butcher. And then I'm back at the city, back at the beaches.
Perfect.
And now like stocked up 6 months worth of food. Don't have to buy it from the grocery store. It's not injected with anything. Right. It's not stuffed in some stall. Yeah. Free range, grass fed, and it comes out to $5 a pound.
Right.
If I went to Publix and bought grass fed ground beef, it's $9 a pound. Now I'm eating filet mignon at $5 a pound.
No, this is great.
I know it costs more up front, but over the life of that, what I'm going to be able to feed my family, it's such a better deal. That's what's crazy about it too. I don't know how I got into that, which is crazy, but it's just this whole idea, right? And I feel like, I mean, I'm sure there's other places in the country that you can do kind of similar things, but I feel like it's just part of the lifestyle here.
It is.
And we found out just from local, like we just like hopped on like some Facebook groups that were in the local area. So like if you're looking for any type of information like that here, goes back to that community you're talking about where you can just put out the beacon like, hey guys, I'm looking for, where do I find raw milk?
Yeah.
And so when we found it, it's out at the beaches at one of the.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There was somebody into it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like I said, after turning 60, now that not only I'm very sympathetic to all of the people, especially my patients going through. Now I'm empathetic, and I've had it. I've done it, and now it's recovering, and I fully understand now how everything we eat is impactful to us.
Yeah.
We got to heal that gut, and the longevity, not only into getting you to your maximum potential, but the longevity of it all as well. Because, we are aging.
Yeah.
Aging population, we're all living longer, and we want to live longer. I've had patients tell me, it's like, Aaron, my parents are only 70s. I have to help them for everything. Just help me not be there when I'm in my 70s. Kind of thing. So that's where we're looking at that. And then, future life. And again, the Jacksonville just allows that, active lifestyle that we want and encourages it. Just walking outside, kind of things.
It really does. Aaron, we're running out of time today, but it's been a great discussion. It felt like we were in here for like 2 minutes. I don't know. We might have to do another one here because I know there's tons of stuff on here that we didn't even
get
probably
to my clinics yet. Through.
I know we're like, we're gonna have to do a part 2.
That's all right.
We're gonna,
good.
Man, what else? In the few minutes we got left, what else could you add to that story before we go? I mean, I know.
So what's happened is because we have been so impactful for people here and the demand for it, we started seeing the hardest cases. And that's what really led us to now we have 2 cash clinics because we want to empower patients again, empower you to being really in charge of your health journey. So that way you're not, like you said, not the insurances are governing what you can do, what you take, and what they're going to pay for. You're actually in charge of it, and that's what's really starting to flourish here because people want to be in charge of it again. I call it the medical treadmill, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
Hey, you have pain. Go to a doctor, take some pain pills, muscle relaxer, and come back if it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Let's do more testings. Well, I don't see it. Well, here's some shots, injections, maybe possible surgery. Like you said, well, if it hurts and I don't find anything, then stop doing it, kind of things. It's something you're just going to have to live with, and that's not the answer people want to hear. I want to keep going. It's like, I'm only in my 40s and 50s, and that's like nothing. I want to keep going. So then I had to find answers. So we're able to give people other options and to get off that treadmill because we look at it, what the body tells us that you're supposed to be doing, not as opposed to what they're trying to find there. This is what the root of the problem is. So for you, the good news is you are able to run. For some people, they take a rest and if they run, even after a rest for 3 months or a year, it's the moment they run, they have the same pain. So it's not like an injury that needed to heal. You have a dysfunction. Something's not allowing you to do it. And that's what our job is, because it's not that medical treadmill. It's about, what is it I can treat now kind of things. What's injured, diseased or, torn, it needs to be, surgically repaired or anything, or it needs to heal. We get to have people who have pain for a long time. It's a dysfunction. They're not moving correctly. Even if they do the YouTube exercises, they hire a personal trainer, do Pilates, they do the yoga, do the right things. They go to even PT, but it makes them worse because they're expecting them to move without enabling them to move first. And that's what we want to do. We want to help the body move correctly and then teach it how to move so that way it doesn't keep bothering you.
Yeah.
That's the difference that we've made here. That's why our clinics have been really taking off.
Which is why you're having life clients.
That's right. Yeah.
I love that term, life clients.
Yeah.
That's how we run it too. And we just started I was curious about the events because we just did ours at Beach Ball.
Yeah.
Have you been in Beach Ball?
I haven't been there yet. I want to.
Oh, you got to go.
I was going to let the crowds.
Next time I go up there on like a Friday afternoon, I'll give you a shout.
All right, good.
No, we did the same thing. We looked internally, and my entire business is all repeat clients or past client referrals or from a relationship like this. And so we did the same thing. Like, well, let's invest in them. And so we did our end of the year party, and then we actually went through the calendar, and I think we put 4 events on the calendar this year. So almost like quarterly events just to run to our clients and say, hey, thanks for being so supportive.
That's the best marketing, right?
I'm so excited about it. And it gives you it's so exciting. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
So your clients or your clinics are going strong. You got 3 of them now. What's the future?
That's a good question. As I kind of allude to, everything I've kind of fell into it, right? Even coming to Jacksonville. Yes, it was kind of intentional because I had to hit our checkpoints, but any further south, just like in Tampa, it's a lot hotter there because my 2 older kids they got married and they live there. It's like, it is so much hotter. I don't know if I can live any more south than this kind of thing. Yeah. But there's no way I'm going back north.
Yeah, this is it. I'm not going to the snow.
So I think it's everything through my life is like divine intervention because I'm just haphazardly saying, how about this? How about this? And it's just here. So this is really great. Just want to be thankful for what we got here.
That's awesome. So the future is here.
The future is here.
Whether
we expand or not, it's not really what my goal is. My goal is how can I get the greatest impact? Because I hear it all over and over again. From patients the first time after our first visit, it's like, I finally have hope.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have found you sooner. Those kind of keep coming up. So I want to keep hitting those people because people are looking for answers, other options in their health journey where they felt like, I'm trying to do this on my own because I can't find help from their quote experts in their field or who they sought their advice from and consulted with, and they're still not having any answers. So they just have to find the right avenue to find those answers. And as soon as we could, if it takes growing, all over the place to do that, I'll do that. But it's all about letting, our patients and our clients decide, where we're kind of leading to because, we're about changing lives.
Yeah.
Impacting lives. That elevator speech you have, it's like, what do you do? It's like, well, I change people's lives. And they're like, what? If I tell them I'm a physical therapist, they're like, oh yeah, I met some massage guy. One time. I don't know what it is.
I got in a car wreck once.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. If for the listener out there, if they want to get in touch with you or they want to check out your facilities, what's the best way?
Well, hit our website. The website is My Manual Therapy.
Okay.
Actually, it's mymanualpt.com.
That's it. We'll have it. I've got it right here. We'll make sure it's linked in the notes.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Aaron, thanks so much for coming on to chat with us today. It was great hearing your story. We might do it again in a few months.
Yeah.
Get in here, talk about. I'm anxious to see how it goes. See where it goes for you. And as you're turning over the torch of small business leader, we'll get into that more. So, all right. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you.